Welcome everyone to episode 223 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pendeloresco. I write stuff in podcast 2. Today, my guest is the one and only Edwin Downward. I met Edwin through his wife at VCon. She goes, "You should get my husband on your show." And I was like, okay, do this. And so I meet this very, very quiet, gentle man who's got this name tag for his wife's assistant. It's like, okay, it's cool. And it's like, he seemed like a gentle sort of fellow. And we had a really fun little conversation. Very science fiction centric conversation by and large, but a really fun, great chat with a very interesting dude. I was very amused at all of this. Outside of that, looks like Alice Zero will be coming out sometime in February. I'm waiting for the last image from Kenzie Carr. She's killing it. I really, really, really am amazed at kind of what's going on there. Also, I just got my first ever paycheck from a science fiction magazine. I think that's like, for me, it's just one of the coolest things ever. I can't believe I've done it, to be perfectly honest with you. That's a hell of a start to a year already. So I'm going to, keep it going the way it's been going. And beyond all that, I think we should just get into the interview, shall we?
The recorder is on, my friend. So if you have anything incriminating you'd like to say, make it good.
How incriminating do you want to get?
It's up to you.
I write science fiction. I write clean science fiction. So you're not going to find any swearing in there.
So you got kind of like this angelic little, I am a good boy, at least in the public. I totally get that.
Yeah.
Like
I said, you're not going to find any swearing. Everything's going to be closed door.
Yeah.
And no gratuitous violence.
No gratuitous violence.
Things are going to happen and people are going to die, but it's not about the blood.
It's not about the so death, but not necessarily bloody death.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Explosions.
Only at a distance.
Okay, only at a distance. So like action movie style. The hero's running or villain or whatever's running away, and then boom, gone.
Well, more along the lines of space opera style. So it's just a blast of light on the screen.
Okay, so kind of like a video game.
Yeah, okay.
We'll go with that video game.
I'll go with video game.
Okay.
Sit there with a nice 3D display of all the players on the board.
How you doing, man? How you doing?
Doing that.
How are you doing?
Oh, me? I'm doing fine.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Sorry. Nervous?
Yes.
Okay. So the whole idea behind this is about figuring out who you are as a person in a way that the audience can relate. So don't worry about it. I'm not going to try to make you out to be anything other than who you are. So unless you got something unless you're secretly nefariously evil.
Wow. No.
No.
I'm secretly nefarious, watching all the evil twins to make sure that their plans don't succeed.
Okay, so you're the nefarious only to the nefarious.
You could say that.
Yeah, you could say that? Okay, all right. So
just look at my Twitter feed and all the evil twins I follow on there, just so I keep up with them.
Okay, so evil twin twist. So right now your tag says cat knitting assistant number 1. Right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I got that back on again.
Yes, I know. So what's a cat's knitting assistant do?
Well, somebody has to watch the table while she's off schmoozing the rest of the vendors.
Yes.
Because she likes running the table, but more than running the table, she likes talking to all the other people in the hall.
But that's also a business tactic too, because honestly, like what we're doing right now is I'm making connection. I'm saying I'm Josh, you're Ed, right? And you write stuff. I podcast stuff to an audience out there. So you have a book you want to make sure people are as aware out there. Ergo, you're going to talk to me. Now, it's not quite that, business-like. Hopefully we get to goof off a little bit. Actually, we've already have goofed off a little bit. But it's Networking is a very important part of business. I watched your wife in action, by the way, yesterday, and with Pat, and it's like, I do not want to negotiate with your wife. Your wife actually is scary as a negotiator.
Should talk to our real estate agent about that.
Oh no, she told me that story. That story was like, I just grinned. I just grinned. Because
so yeah, somebody has to be able to sit at the table for those times when she's preparing.
So you are the loyal cat's knitting assistant. I almost feel like you should have like a badge or like a cap. I'm not sure which though.
I'm not a hat person though.
Okay.
I'll wear a hat when the weather requires it.
Yes.
Yesterday I was walking around for a while there with one of her Jane hats on just to show it off.
Yes. So you'll do it for business, and you'll do it for rain, but for no other reason.
Yeah. No.
So it has to be a badge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go with badge. So let's maybe like an actual cat. I almost see like if she's a cat I almost see like a purple cat. You'd be like, I don't know, either a slightly smaller, like that loyal saluting assistant kind of thing. Would that work?
Probably would.
Actually, yeah. You should actually like knit that. Like you have that, or even have that as a shirt. Like the assistant, like just assistant, and then there's the cat, and then there's the big cat, right? And
I'll have to talk to her about that.
Yeah, it's just an idea, just off the top of my head, just randomly here. So let's see here, Mr. Ed, but you are a science fiction writer.
Yeah, that's right.
So I would have to imagine that once upon a time you were a science fiction reader.
All my life.
All your life. What did you grow up reading?
I like to say that I was weaned on Andrew Norton.
Andrew Norton is a really good choice.
So, I mean,
which
I don't know how many of them I wrote, because
she's got a lot of books out.
The fun thing is, my younger sister, who's older than me, but she's still my younger sister. I've got two sisters. She loved science fiction and she loved reading. So she had her own library in her bedroom. And so I just started on there. She had to have had something like 50 or 100 Andrew Nortons. So I just gobbled through all those.
What was your favorite? I like her Witch World, but I am a bit of a sucker for Beastmaster.
I'd have to say the Solar Queen series.
Okay. I haven't actually read that one, so.
It's one of her earlier ones. It's a tag. What is it? It begins with Sargasso of Space, and it's about a free trader. Or actually, it's about a junior who gets posted on a free trader.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And and again, it's an adventure rather than a thriller. It's not an action, but they go through all these things because as a trader, they have rules about doing a fair trade, particularly if you're on a new world that's never been opened up enough. And that's where free traders want. The big corporate traders have runs that they do. The free traders go out to the little places that nobody else can afford to go to.
Yeah.
But so they're, like I said, they've got rules. They've got to prove to the authorities back on Earth that they did fair deals with the people they're dealing with.
Okay. So it's kind of like a code of honor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. So you went from Andrew Norton to. So when did you decide to make the link to go, I'm going to do science fiction?
I'd have to say that was late because I started reading those when I was about 10. For Andrew Norton, my first introduction to Isaac Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke, Philip K. Dick was in there. But by the time I was 16 or 17, I had transitioned that into, all right, I can actually write this stuff. I wanted to write, but I'd reached a point where saying, I can actually start doing this stuff.
So when did you make that decision? Like, what was the actual moment where you said, I could do it?
Okay, let's see. That would be grade 11, because I decided I was going to take a creative writing course.
Okay.
So one of my semesters was a creative writing course, and that's when I wrote my first complete short story.
Awesome. And then, so did you get it published?
No.
No.
That was a high school project, and it was a high school level anger in it, and it was not the type of thing that a person like me wanted other people to read.
Ah, okay.
So even the teacher took me aside and said, we've got to talk about some of this stuff type of thing. And I have to say, after that, I did have an idea for a novel project, but you could say I spent 3 decades in the, how do I get this start? And of course I need to get this first part perfect.
Oh, you fell into that.
You fell, so I don't remember, well actually I do remember, it was a point at work. It was a grunt job.
Yeah.
This particular part of the job, I'm running a vacuum around 10 kilometers worth of hallway. And it just came to my mind that now is the time to get serious about that novel. Now is the time to really sit down and not just play around with the beginning stuff, but to actually work on a larger picture. And that's basically when I broke out of it. Somewhere in there, I don't remember exactly what point, somebody basically put it in my head, that whole complete the story.
Yes.
Like I said, I've got to get these first 3 chapters perfect. I'm on chapter 4, but chapter 4 produced a problem back in chapter 1, so I had to fix chapter 1. But I reached a point where I could say, all right, I've got to do a fix back in chapter 1, but I can do that later.
Yeah.
I can make a note of it and I can continue on.
Yes. Ah, very good. I'm working on a novel right now. It's about a race inside a star. And I'm just writing it. I know there's all kinds of flaws in the draft right now, but I'm not worried about it. I'm just I'm more interested in, can I get the voice right? I can fix the details when I get to draft 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I can see it. I still had a lot to... I wrote the first draft, I did a second draft, and only then did I dare let other people look at it. And that became major revisions in draft 3 and 4. And then I reached a point where I knew I needed professional outside help. Just having the fruit critiquers wasn't...
Oh yeah.
So I did pay for an editor, and that resulted in another layer of heavy edits. Then I had a line edit done on it. And then at this point, I'd been given the idea that people were talking about one of their editing drafts would be, I'm going to read it. And I was looking at that saying, that probably won't work for me, but I've got this piece of software over here that will turn my text into speech. So I'd have that read it while I'm reading the copy. Mm-hmm. And so I did a proof run.
It's amazing what happens when you sound out your work. Because what happens there is you can actually hear it when things go south. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's not working. Why is that not working? Right, and then you can come back, and then again, at that moment you don't stop. You just keep going until you find all of that stuff, and then then you fix it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was in. By then, it was early, 2011, 2010, 2012, somewhere in there. So the whole self-publishing world was becoming big, and the whole world on Kindle was coming big, but there's still a lot of pushback. I'd learned enough on the business side to say, do I really want to deal with those horrid contracts that I'm hearing coming out of the big, back then it was the big 6. But people were saying, you can look at all these small publishers. So I submitted to a number of small publishers, and they all came back with the same story. You've got a story there, but it's not polished enough. So I had to fix it. And by the time I reached that point, I made it said, if I'm doing all the hard work. I mean, I'd grown up in the idea that you write the story, you submit it to a publisher, and the publisher would get the editors and everybody to turn your rough into the polish. And so I looked at it and said, if I'm doing all the work that I thought the publisher was going to do for me,
Might as well just do the rest yourself.
might as well do the rest myself.
Yeah.
And that's when I chose to go the self-published route.
So I'm going to ask this one wonderful question. What did you learn?
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, there were big ones.
That's why it's a good question. I think,
Just like I couldn't afford to have somebody make my initial cover, so I spent extraordinary amounts of time just looking through pre-made covers. I found my initial cover I really like. Even today I like it, even though I've changed it. I got a cover designer who did the cover for that book and for the second book. And there's all the fun. I was always a techie on the side. There was a point in my life, back about the time that I decided, yep, I'm going to get serious about this writing. I had another question was, do I get serious about the writing or do I get serious about playing with computers? I know basic computer programming, and so I had a fairly good foundation for computer stuff, but I knew that if I wanted to make that into a career, I had to go to the next level.
And I could see why that would appeal to you. You seem like the kind of guy that enjoys solving problems, and you have a certain logical build. Like you can appreciate how something is put together. I got that impression from you. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
But I did make the decision between the two. I said the writing's more important. I'm going to concentrate. I mean, computer is still something important to me, and though again I haven't kept up with, but I can, I know my HTML. I know basic PHP. It's been a long time since I've worked with any kind of compiled language like C. But
oh well, I remember back in the day I was in college and I was taking C programming. Right? Yeah, it doesn't work. Like programming has evolved so much in 20 years.
And I know that. I mean, back in those days I was hand coding stuff.
Yeah,
now you've got so many tools out there.
Well, yeah, I still actually like hand coding. I actually enjoy it because it's almost like, although granted there are some things I don't know anymore, there's like that. It's almost like I'm writing a story. It's almost the exact same feeling because you're building something from the ground up. And I also love the fact that I did it like my HTML in Notepad. That's how I originally did HTML. And that's how I still like doing it. So, I mean,
I have to forget. I mean, I'm a writer. My first novel was written in a text editor. I don't like Word. I've never liked Word.
No one likes Word. Trust me, nobody does.
On my computer now I have a copy of LibreOffice because at some point or another you have to convert it into a Word document if you're going to send it anywhere because that's what everybody wants.
Well, it's the universal standard. It has become the universal standard.
Yeah.
Right?
So even today on my phone I have a high-end, not a high-end, but I have a really good text editor.
Yeah.
And I'm drafting I've started to draft my third novel, and right now it's on here.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I wrote my first draft for one of my next books on my phone. I actually wrote the first draft of it. It was just, I was on the right roll, I was on the right mood, and I did it real quick and dirty. So.
Yeah, and then I can cut and paste, very easy, cut and paste. And they finally got me to look at Scrivener. And in terms of the organizational level Scrivener gives you,
it's amazing.
So my drafts will be cut and paste into Scrivener.
Yeah.
If I need to take it off the computer, I can cut it, paste it back into a text document. At this point, I don't care about formatting. I even had a long argument with myself and with other people over the question of whether I'm writing science fiction, do I have to italicize the name of my ship?
Well, if you're the one, traditionally I would say yes. right, traditionally it's a good idea because it follows what everybody has come before. But it's your own publishing house. I mean, you can do it. You make up your own rules.
Yeah.
There's nothing that says you can't.
It's also, I've discovered that with LibreOffice, it's actually very easy at the final stage to search and replace the font. So I can just say search for regular and put it in italics.
Yeah.
So it's a last minute thing I can do after everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna get into the books here. You said you're working on your third novel. Have you published your second book?
Yes, it went live 2 weeks ago in ebook form.
Okay.
And it's available now. I chose a long time ago actually, I've chosen to publish wide. You have this thing where you can publish to all the ebook stores, or you can publish to the Amazon store and get into their Kindle Unlimited.
Yep. And so
with the whole exclusivity thing, and I just didn't want that.
So you just went wide. No, I get you.
I have the print book edition out now, but the last 2 weeks have been dedicated to ramping up for this con.
Yeah, and now that it's over, you'll get back in full promo mode for your enterprise. So, hard science fiction or soft science or pulpy science fiction? What do you prefer?
Okay, I'm going to have to prefer. I mean, I like a wide range. You know, like I said, the Solar Queen I would call soft science fiction. And as I said, that's one of the things from Andrew Norton that I love. But I also like Arthur C. Clarke, and he tends to be very hard. Tends to be very hard and very strict on his science.
Yeah.
And I'll read a flippant or even a humorous science fiction here, and then I'll turn around here and I'll read myself a hardcore military science fiction.
Yeah. Well, for me, I always think Asimov is the standard, and the reason why is because he's literally the best of all worlds. He writes a hard science, like there's a lot of scientific fact in everything he's doing. But unlike the biggest problem with hard science fiction is it's very hard for a average reader to get into, because a lot of times the explanations with the science are really, really in depth, right? And to the point where it actually takes you out of the story. Asimov was exceptionally good at the fact that he brought the science into the equation, but also did it in a way that the reader could follow and added to the story, which I think is really underrated how artful he was with that. So he's my standard. So and just for that reason. And from the modern era, like Charles Stross does a really good job at that. Robert Sawyer does a really good job at that. So.
Oh yeah, I've read the Old Man's War and those brigades. Those incredible books.
Yeah, that's Scalzi. But yes.
Oh, that's Scalzi, right?
That's Scalzi. But Sawyer's like Quantum Night, Terminal Experiment, Calculating God. Stross is a Solarendo, Singularity Sky, right? So they're both very good at keeping the science and the science fiction, the fiction and the energy engaging. I think there's a good balance there. So that's kind of, I think, what every science fiction author should go for, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a strange thing. With my own writing, I like to concentrate more on the characters than the text.
Yeah.
So I try to put in only enough text to make a section work, which has put me in this strange situation where I've literally had people read the same section. This person said all the text put me to sleep, and this person said where's all the text?
Yeah, it's an interesting balancing act, right? It's an interesting balancing act, but that's part of the genre too. Some people really like their tech. Some people really like their characters. I'm more of a character guy than a tech guy. But it doesn't mean I don't have fun with tech, right? Another author I really enjoy is Cory Doctorow. I love how he uses software in his storytelling. So
I have to admit, I have not read any Doctorow.
Try his young adult stuff. That's a good way to get into his stuff. For the Win is really good. So that's the one I'd recommend. So yeah. If you want short stories, go with Overclocked which is really good. It's a really cool collection. Or if you want something that's really a little hilarious, to make fun of Disney World a little bit, is Down and Out in the Magic Kingdom. It's really fun.
Just that title makes you think, okay, what are you gonna get here?
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good. So I'm a bit of a sci-fi guy myself. So your second book just came out. So how about we do this? I think you be the judge, Mr. Knitting Assistant number 1 or Mr. Ed, whichever you prefer. I think we have a decent interview. What do you think?
There we go.
There you go. So we're gonna go.
I changed my name.
You changed your name. He is now officially Ed Downward.
That's right.
That's right.
Author of science fiction adventure.
That's right. So I think we have a decent interview. So this is what I would like you to do. Talk about your most recent book that's out now, right? That you just released, and how we can find it, and how we can find you.
All right. As I said, I've released wide, so it's available on all the platforms.
What's it called?
The story itself is called Into the Crucible.
Okay.
And it starts with young lovers who have finally reached the place of what they hope will be relative safety. But that arriving there came with baggage that is going to come back and bite them. And after that, it's a function of we want to explore our relationship, but we've got people around us that want us to do other things.
So it's basically come to a planet where there's problems. They're just trying to have a relationship, but nobody else will leave them alone.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And it comes into fun there because a lot of people like the grandfather. He's an old gentleman who's at the core. He's actually at the core of the ship they're in, that they're using. And I imagine the grandfather's about 90 at this point. And he's the one that comes up with a scheme that says, these kids need to have a life. And they're not going to have a life in this environment, so we have to find a way to get them out from underneath the hammer so they can have a life. And he actually arranges it so they can get off the station, there's a deep space station, and go to a place of safety where nobody's going to find them.
Theoretically, anyway.
Theoretically.
Yes.
But of course, the other side, like I say, I write science fiction adventure, so I've got these characters, and I've got a few other characters who are bouncing around on the outside of a big space opera environment. Like I said, the hammer I was talking about. There's something big going on out there.
Okay.
But they're not in there. They're not, so they're not going to be aboard the Fleet Admiral's ship or anything like that. They're bouncing around the outside of this environment. People have been telling me that, or asking if it's anything like Firefly.
It doesn't feel like it. It
doesn't feel like I don't know enough of Firefly to actually answer that question.
No, it doesn't feel like it's more. It does feel like it's a classic space opera one. Into the Crucible space opera.
Yeah.
By Ed Downward, available now, ebooks everywhere.
Ebooks everywhere. All the big stores at Google Plus.
Okay, and then how can they find you personally?
Well, the easiest way to find me is remember my name, Edwin Downward.
Okay.
So it's edwindownward.com. On Twitter, it's actually just Edwin Downward. On Facebook, it's Edwin Downward Author.
Okay. Very cool. 1 second here.
And that was my conversation with Edwin Downward, ladies and gentlemen. Synergy of Hopes is book 1 of his series. You can take a look at it there on Amazon where books are sold. Into the Crucible is his most recent book. You should definitely take a look at it. He was fun to chat to. Like I said, a very sweet, kind man, and I think he's become a little bit of a fan. At least I've heard he's listened to the podcast a few times, and I got him thinking. So, Edwin, thanks for listening. Thanks for being on my show. You're welcome back anytime. Beyond all that, I think we have a good episode just joshing this week. So, that'll do it for this episode. Thanks, everybody, for listening. You can support this podcast in a number of different ways. You can subscribe to the podcast. You can do so through iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or through Podomatic itself. You can do that. Leave comments, reviews. If you like it, tell your friends. If you don't like it, don't tell anybody. But still, just get the word out there as much as you can. I appreciate it. I have books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God, available through mirrorworldpublishing.com. Go to their site, order some books. Same thing, read them, like them, review them, whether here or on Amazon, Goodreads, wherever books are reviewed and where books are sold, Amazon, Kobo, you name it. Check them out. Owl Zero is coming soon. More info when I'm ready. Outside of that, I have my YouTube channel, Joshua Pendeloresco. There's live episodes there. Beyond all that, thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'll be back soon. Till then, stay inspired. Do your thing. Good things will happen.
Josh.